All right. So hello, everyone. So Dr. Brett Toombs is away for the week, so I'll be doing the introduction today. I'm Richard Henry, a postgraduate researcher here at SPIN. Welcome to our fifth SPIN Chat webinar. Each of our 11 webinars cover a different topic related to coping during COVID-19, tailored to the needs of the scleroderma community. Each 30 to 45-minute presentation will be followed by a 15-minute question and answer session. So please ensure that your microphone is turned off during the presentation. So that is the microphone button at the bottom of the screen should remain gray. You may unmute yourself during discussions and at the end of the session. At the top center of your screen, you have the option to view who's talking, view everyone, view active cameras, or hide everyone. For the best experience, we encourage you to view who's talking. Make sure that option is selected. Feel free to use the chat pane by clicking on the conversation bubble at the top right of the screen. This is how we will receive your questions for the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. With a group of this size, we also encourage you to go ahead and just ask your questions yourself. But using the chat pane, you can simply type your question or comment and hit send, and we can see that. Members of the research team are going to be moderating the meeting. Our Spin Chat coordinator, Angelica, will be addressing any technical issues and also collecting your questions and addressing them to the presenter at the end of the at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. The resources and materials referred to during the presentation can be found on the webinar's Facebook event page and on the webinar's Spin Chat webinar information page. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to the Home Activity Engagement Expert. Laura, and I'm going to butcher your last name, I do apologize. Bustamante, is that even remotely in the ballpark? She'll correct you when she starts speaking. So Laura is a certified recreational therapist, CTRS, and holds a BA from Concordia University, specializing in therapeutic recreation. She's the president and co-founder of the I Can But I Can't awareness campaign to the barriers of leisure participation, and has a passion for therapeutic recreation and leisure advocacy. She had the pleasure of leading the activity engagement portion of the Spin Chat 2020 research program, as well as 2 educational sessions on staying active and engaged at home during the COVID-19 pandemic. Laura's specialization is working with individuals experiencing mental health challenges and adults living with physical disabilities and/or chronic illness. Laura loves being able to share her passion for leisure engagement and her personal interests of photography, baking, and the arts with the individuals she works with. So thank you all for being here. Go ahead.
All right. Hello. Thank you. And not too far off at all. It's Laura Bustamante. So you did pretty good. A plus. All right. So hello to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. To those I have met before, so glad to see you again. And to those who are new, it's a pleasure to meet you. If at any point I'm talking too fast, or if anybody's French and would like me to say something in French, je parle un peu français aussi, donc ça va. So please just let me know. Okay, so I shared my screen here, but now I can't see anybody. So if anybody needs me, you can just unmute and ask away. All right, so in today's webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do to stay active and engaged and connected right now. And we're going to talk about a few different strategies on how to do that. But before we get to that, we're going to talk a little bit about the change that has happened and where we are right now, and the effect that that might have had on our engagement and the activities that we choose to do or that we're able to do right now. So just to warm us up to begin, I have a few images here of what I think our current engagement reality looks like. And when I'm talking about engagement, I'm talking about the activities that we are participating in, the things that we're doing to bring us pleasure and enjoyment right now. And so, as you see here, my first image of our Spider-Man, this kind of shows that for some people, our days are kind of looking the same,
Sorry
especially.
for stopping you right there. We're not seeing the screen sharing right now. So that's weird. Do you want me to stop you from or maybe resend the request and hopefully it'll work?
Thanks for catching that. Okay, my bad. Technology is not my forte, if you haven't guessed yet. So let me try this.
Okay, so I don't have the option of resending it, but oh, you see it. Great, thanks.
Okay. Ooh, that's better. Okay. You were probably like, what's Spider-Man? Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can make this big. All right, play from the start. Okay. Everybody sees it? Is it all good?
Yeah.
All right, so back to the Spider-Man. This is our current engagement reality in 4 pictures. At least that's what I think. So we have our first one here where all the Spider-Man are pointing to each other, and it's each day kind of looks the same right now. Some are blurring into others. Then we have our little girl over here who is not having the best of days. So it says, this has really been me the past few days, and it just shows, I guess, a lack of motivation or however you'd like to interpret it. And then our penguin, who says, when the self-care and crafting and cooking isn't curing your anxiety. So I remember from the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were saying, well, they were stress baking or stress painting and doing all of these things because they thought it would make them feel better, but it wasn't helping. So there's that one. And then the last one of finding the type of activities that you can do with our current restrictions and the ones that probably don't involve cutting your own hair, because we know that that doesn't turn out too great all the time. All right. So this is also just another little video. I'm going to give you a situation of a scenario, and we're going to just look at the change from our activity before the pandemic and after. Before I do that, just a quick question: did this resonate with anyone? Am I alone in the thoughts of my engagement right now?
That second image is definitely me.
Great. Okay. All right. So I like to call this the change, and no, not that change, but it's the change in our activity. So this is Mary. Mary is someone who lives alone and has chronic pain. Before the pandemic, Mary had a bunch of things that she would do to keep her busy and active. One of the main things she did was volunteer at the local retirement home near her house. She would do this and it would help her get some social connection. It made her feel like she had a group of friends she could see often. It gave her feelings of purpose and giving back to the community and gave her this drive. It also helped her keep track of the days. So she was getting all of these benefits, really enjoying her groove. She'd often bake them goodies too and bring them, so that had its own other slew of benefits. And on nice days, Mary would bike to the retirement home, and sometimes she would walk. It was close by, so it kept her active and busy. On top of that, Mary had all kinds of things in her life. She was able to go to the movies, she was able to go to the library. When she was feeling well, there was a lot of things in her life that gave her purpose and feelings of happiness. But then, all of a sudden, we all know what happened. Bam, world goes into lockdown. And now, all of the things that Mary used to do that gave her benefits, she's not able to do anymore. All her plans are canceled. So she's not getting those benefits she was getting before. She's not getting the social connection or the trip to look forward to. And all of this is causing her motivation to go down. And her motivation to try new activities and engage in things isn't there like it was before, because she's not able to do the things that used to bring her joy and doesn't know where to start. So the question is, how do we get Mary to have the same benefits she had before with the current restrictions and the current reality that we're living in? So that's what we're going to find out today. And that's what we're going to talk about. No, we already saw this. All right, so before we get into that, this is just a little video as a recreational therapist of how I would like to think of what your brain looks like on fun. And I do warn you, this is not scientifically proven, but I think that it gives a nice little image of what I'm hoping to convince you of today. So, all right, so we get the idea. Our brains feel good when we are having fun. So if you think to a time that you were really engaged in something, and I try to remember that time that, when you're laughing so hard that your stomach hurts and you're surrounded by people you care about, and all of the good, happy feelings that come along with when you're fully engaged in an activity you enjoy. That's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find how to get more of those types of activities and how we can get the benefits that go along with them. So, what are these benefits? Oh, we saw that. Oh, here we go. All right. So, there are lots of benefits of fun, and there's a little source down here if you want to read more about it. It's an article about these different benefits. But to go through it quickly, when we're engaged in activities we really care about and when we're having fun, it does a whole bunch of things to our brain. There's a whole bunch of chemical reactions that happen. But over a long period of time, some of these benefits are: it promotes creativity, it helps you expand your horizons, it gives you new perspectives, it lets you experience positive stress, which is the opposite of distress, it's eustress. And it can help with burnout buffering, so it can give you coping skills and help you process things better for when you are in stressful situations. It can help you have an emotional recharge. It can give you social supports. It has all kinds of physical health benefits, and we're going to talk about that more when we talk about the benefits of laughter. It also serves as a really good distraction. It lets you take a break. It gives your mind a second to stop thinking about everything else that's going on, but just really enjoy the present moment. It helps you have a more positive attitude. It helps build relationships. And last but not least, it's user-friendly, so anybody can have fun. Anybody of any background can partake in meaningful fun activities. All right, and one other really important thing about fun is that it helps build resiliency. And resiliency is something that we can all use a little more of right now. Everyone's going through a challenging time in their own ways, and being able to handle these challenges better is something that we could all use. So, okay. And at any point, please feel free to jump in if you have thoughts or questions or anything. Okay, so more benefits. Actually, this is supposed to say, why is laughing so good for you? But why is laughing so good for you? Well, it has all of these chemical reactions and in your body and the biological impacts of it. So laughing, and again, that good full laughing, it helps reduce inflammation in your arteries, it helps lower stress hormones, gives your heart a nice little workout, even your abs sometimes, strengthens your immune system, it can help improve cholesterol levels, decrease anxiety, it may decrease inflammation in your blood vessels, and it can provide you an energy boost. It can also help lower blood pressure and combat depression. Now, just putting it out there, I'm not a doctor. This is research that is out there, but we're all different. Our bodies do react differently. So I'm not suggesting that if you watch one good comedy, then all your health problems will be gone. But over time, it can have a really good, healthy impact on your body. And if you are interested in the benefits of laughter, there is a new, I think it's pretty new and trending, but it's called laughter yoga. And it seems a little silly, but people get together and they practice laughter together to get these benefits. And it starts off quite odd because it's forced laughter, but it usually turns into real laughter, and then you do get all of those great benefits from it. Okay, so since we're talking about chemical reactions and all of that stuff, this is I really like this little depiction of it because it breaks down the 4 main happiness chemicals, and it lists some of the ways that we can hack them, how we can get those chemicals. I'm not going to go too into it, but I just wanted it here as a reference for when we're selecting the activities that are good for us that we want to engage in, maybe to refer back to it. So for example, if I know that my mood has been really low, I'm probably lacking a little bit of serotonin. And so I may want to choose an activity that fits into similar categories as this one. So maybe I need a little bit more sun, maybe being in nature will help me do that. So if I'm going to be selecting an activity, I may want to pick one that's going to be outdoors in the sunlight, that type of thing. Okay. So now we just talked about all of these benefits. And so clearly there's all these great things that engaging in activity and having fun can do. So why aren't we doing more of it? Well, because it's not that simple. So this little picture here, the fun and all their benefits, they're way on this side over here. But then on your way to them, bam, there's usually a wall in the way. And this wall can be a bunch of things. This wall can be not having enough time. This wall can be fearing pain, being afraid that doing those things that you want to do that will give you all those benefits will actually be too challenging, that you may not be able to do it, or that you don't have people to do it with. Does anybody have any examples of what this wall may be in their life? I'm using this as a second just to get my notes, so if not, that's fine. Okay, well, some of the really common barriers to participation.
We had people that unmuted, so I'll just give them a couple of seconds.
Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Franny. Yeah, I had a wall. I was just away for a month in a warm climate, and I really wanted to do a lot of walking. And I found, because I have lung issues from scleroderma, that I couldn't walk as much as the people I was with. And I tried to push myself, and it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So that was my wall, and I did what I could do, which was a couple miles. I wanted to do more, but it was very difficult for me, and I have to learn that I can only do what I can do.
Yeah,
that was my wall.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Franny. And you're right. It is really important to listen to our body, and we're going to talk about that in a few slides from now. We have an adapting and modifying slide. So, but yeah, that's a great example.
Me, I had two barriers.
Yeah.
The first one was the fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one was that I was always comparing myself to who I was before the scleroderma.
Yeah.
I was very not successful, but I was very proud of what I was doing physically before with exercise. And now I just, it's not the same. I'm doing, I think, maybe 25% of what I was able to do like 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, those are really good examples too, and I think that you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. Um, it's very important to remind ourselves that certain situations means that we have to change our own personal expectations. As much as we want to compare ourselves to other people or who we were before, we have to shift that reality, right? We have to readjust, but it's definitely not easy, and that is definitely for sure. Thank you so much for sharing.
So my barrier or wall would be time.
Mm,
I have just recently, in the last couple of weeks, been tasked with helping to give care to my 101-year-old father and my 94-year-old mother, who both went downhill all of a sudden at the
mm.
same time. Yes, so amongst all of my other tasks now, I have that to do.
Yeah, that's another really big one. That's actually on my list of most common barriers to participation is lack of time or not feeling guilty about prioritizing me time or fun time. A lot of people think that the first thing to go is usually personal fun and engagement. There are so many other necessities in life or priorities that we think take precedence. But in reality, sometimes the most productive thing you can do is taking care of yourself and doing things that make you better and stronger so that you can help other people better or be a better you. But yeah, that's another really good one. All right. I can't see you all, so I'm just going to keep going, but feel free to interrupt me. So we covered a lot of really good barriers there. I'm just checking here on my list of most common ones. I think we hit all of them. Oh, I don't have time for fun. It's selfish to enjoy in fun, to indulge in fun things. This notion that we need to be serious to survive. Sometimes if we have families, so that works well in your example, if we engage in too much me time, it takes away from the family and that we shouldn't have that individual fun. So those are a lot of really common ones. So now I'm going to kind of switch gears a little, but it all ties in together. I'm going to talk about a technique a technique in cognitive behavioral therapy. So this is called behavioral activation. And this is a strategy that's used commonly with people who are going through depression, but I think it talks a lot about how a lot of us are feeling right now with the pandemic. And it talks about this cycle, and this cycle that has a lot to do with social isolation. So I know a lot of us are feeling that we are disconnected from people in our lives. So it starts with, we now have this needed social isolation from the pandemic, and that can lead into a sad mood, which then leads into lower energy, which then leads into avoidance of pleasurable activities and of seeing people. And as we see, that cycle just continues. And this other one right down here shows that feelings of sadness or depression, they lead to inactivity, and inactivity leads right back to there. So we have this cycle going that makes it hard to set things into motion and to have the motivation to do the things that we used to do. So someone mentioned fatigue before as a barrier. And so fatigue is something that can also fall into this. Your energy is low, so you're less active, and that leads to low feelings from not doing the things that you want and need to do, and the cycle continues. So here's a similar chart, but with pain in mind. So this one has to do with chronic pain. And we see that as pain goes up, low feelings tend to increase, and then we stop doing the things that we used to do or that we want to do, and in turn can get less out of life and than we want to, and this cycle can continue. And then when we look at the positive cycle of activity, it's the opposite. When we're feeling better, we tend to get more out of life and we tend to do more of what matters. And this cycle then continues. And as a result, some pain can decrease. They do say that pain is a combination of physical factors, but also mental and emotional factors. So once we can get the mental and emotional factors in check, it can make somewhat of an impact here. I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of people say, I'll do it when I feel better. Like, I really want to do that, but I'll just do it when I feel better. But sometimes we need to do the thing in order to feel better and to get that cycle started. So that is our bridge right here. So their bridge of behavioral activation that brings us from this red cycle into our blue cycle. And one strategy that I read about that they recommend in behavioral activation is the 5-second rule, they call it. And no, this doesn't mean eating food off the floor. We won't do that. But this is the idea that when you're in your cycle or in the cycle of inactivity and you get a thought or an urge to do something like, oh, it's so nice out, I really want to go for a walk. They say that within 5 seconds of getting that thought, to take a deep breath, and then when you're done your deep breath, count down to 5. And in that 5 seconds, just get up. Even the first step, just stand up. And then if you're able to, keep going and walk to the door and put your boots on. And if you need to stop at any point in there, that's okay. But those little steps after the 5-second breath is, once you're in motion, you tend to continue at least for a little bit. And that can get you into this blue cycle, which can really make a difference in your overall well-being over time. All right, so a lot of information here, I know. I just gotta grab a little water. Okay, so with this concept in mind, what this is it's a tool for observation. So this is available to you if you would like to use it. It's just a potential strategy. I did have some links down here of other worksheets. This is an adapted version I use. The real behavioral activation is a little more complicated, but the idea of this is that for at least a week to observe and say, okay, every day I'm going to try to do one thing. You can do more if you like, but one meaningful activity that I have in mind. So you would then put what that activity is. And then we have our domains on the side here. We have connected, creative, active, relaxed, engaged, and stimulated. So for example, if my activity is painting, I would put painting here. And that can be 5 minutes of painting. Little steps are good too. That can be 10 minutes. So I would put painting, and then I would put creative as my domain. If I'm painting with a friend, let's say, maybe I would put creative and connected because I'm connecting as well. And then before I engage in it, I'm just going to take a quick reflection of my body and how I'm feeling, how my mood is. And this doesn't have to be mood either. It can be pain if you want to chart your pain. It can be your motivation. It can be anxiety, anything that you really want. But I have a scale here of 1 to 10, and I would just like take a quick scan of my body. Okay, I'm feeling like this guy over here. I'm feeling like a 3. And then right after I'm done my 10 minutes of painting, I do a quick scan. Okay, how do I feel? And maybe I feel like a 6. Maybe I enjoyed that. I find that it helps to get someone else to ask you real quick, just to say, hey, Catherine, 1 to 10, how you feeling? And then by that, you reflect less on it then, I find. So it's more authentic. Oh yeah, I'm feeling good, 6 or 7. So then you would put it down there and then just continue monitoring for the week. And the idea is then to look back on it and say, okay, I noticed that every time I do creative things, my mood tends to go up a score or 2. It tends to be much better for me. Or the opposite may happen. You may find that, going for a walk actually increases pain, and that every time that you did something in the active sector, it actually decreased your mood. So then you can look at that and think, okay, maybe I need to modify some things. Maybe I need to do shorter periods of time, or maybe I need to add another domain that is good for me, that gives me pleasure, to help balance that out. So if I notice that, being connected really boosts my mood, then maybe I need to start pairing my active activities with my connected activities. Is this making sense? All right. Okay. So this can be really helpful to just look on and increase awareness. It also helps to plan out the things that you would like to do and put them down on paper. Once they're written and on paper, it can be a little easier to actually do it, and you're more likely to participate in it that way. All right, so this is just a list. I keep switching all over the place. This is just a list of different types of activities that you could potentially do. And then we have some links over here. There's all kinds of different ones. If you're stuck and want to find a new hobby, it's nice to just look at a database. Okay, this chart right here is also included in the resources. So now we kind of mentioned before how there can be something that we want to do. Like Franny, like you mentioned, the walking. You really wanted to do the long walks, but you noticed that you couldn't keep up, or you weren't able to do as much as you would have liked. So that's your body telling you that the activity itself is good for you, but maybe it needs some adapting and some modifying. So there's all kinds of ways that we can adapt our activities. We can adapt the time we participate in it. We can adapt the equipment that we use for it. We can adapt the rules slightly depending on the situation. The weather, we may not go for a walk when it's snowing and freezing cold out. I know that really stops me from going outside. So it's really important to be reflective in that and think about what you can do to make sure that you're still getting that engagement that you want without crossing any boundaries, because then things get a little more challenging for sure. Okay, so this is a little acronym that I created to help remind us of what types of activities we can do that are good for us and make us feel better. And so we have the doing meaningful activities cares for your well-being. So these are different domains that we can do activities in. In the connected domain, creative, active, relaxed, engaged, and stimulated. It's also very helpful to pair these domains together. So, for example, I may want to just go for a walk. So then I'm in the active domain, and then I have the benefits of being active. But if I then went for a walk while listening to a really good podcast that was helping me be stimulated and engaged, and then I called a friend and asked them to listen to the same podcast, and that we'd have a chat about it later. So then I come back inside, call my friend, and we talk about the podcast, and I'm now then connected. And if I throw a soft blanket, a cup of tea, and a fireplace on too, then now I'm relaxed too, and I get all these different benefits instead of just the one area. So I think I'm running a little low on time here, but so in this domain, I broke them all down into activities that we can do in these domains. So for the connected domain, there are some suggestions here, but the hope is that next time, if you all come back, we will break down the rest of the letters and have it as a more, we won't really have slides. It'll be more of a brainstorming session to come up with things that we can do and help motivate each other to actually start doing those types of activities. And we'll have a list like this for each of the acronyms, and we can go and click on the links and see what's there and if it's something that we're interested in. But to just go quickly down a few of these, so some of the ways that we can be connected, so going back to Mary and her example at the beginning of, she wasn't able to get those feelings of purpose and connection and social interaction that she used to. So there are a whole bunch of really cool ways that you can volunteer virtually. This is a link here, and it leads to a list of all kinds of really awesome opportunities that I didn't know that they had. One of the examples on there that I just thought was super cool was it's an application for your phone called Be My Eyes. And what it is people with visual impairments can call you on that application, and then you answer as a video call, and they ask you a question like, can you tell me what this menu says? And they hold up the menu, and you then read the menu out to them. Or if they want to know, like, is it safe to cross here? And then you can tell them. And you can do a 2-minute call a few times a day, or you can, I think, control it however much you want. But it's a quick way to feel like you're giving back, and you get all those good feelings of connection and purpose and empathy. So there's that. There's a link here to animal live streams. Sometimes you can this link leads to all kinds of different filming of live animals. Let's see if I can show if this works. But it's quite amazing. I'll often just put the kittens on and watch the kittens. Oh, there's a kitten one. But they're all animal rescue places. So you can play them, and there's fish in an aquarium, which are very relaxing. There's dogs, there's cats, there's everything. There's some really, really cute ones there. Let's see. Okay, if I do this, am I back to my main screen?
I think you're sharing the PowerPoint right now, so all we see is the PowerPoint, but if you switch to a different program, then we'll see it.
You didn't see the animals?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
But we know how much you love cats.
Yes, I do. That's why I want you to see the kittens. Okay, so even now you don't see the
No.
Oh,
I think you have to click on the screen share button and then switch to a different application. So
all right. Well, okay. Where are you? Okay, I'm back. Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay, since I built up the hype, I need to show you the animals now. Okay, this one, application window. Okay, do we see this?
Yes.
Okay, so there's all kinds of different animals. You can click on them. Yep, there's the kitten sanctuary here, and then it's just all live time. So we just see sleeping kittens or dolphins or dogs or whatever you like. So it just brings joy to kind of see it there. Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay, we're almost done, everyone. Okay. So this here is making the most out of Zoom. So I think a lot of people are feeling very drained from video calls and from Zoom. So these are some strategies of how we can help manage those drained feelings. And that can help when you're having social connections through Zoom. Using some of those strategies can be really good. And one other thing I want to touch upon is this idea of having buddies or accountability. So by telling somebody about the things that you want to be doing, and just saying it out loud, they then can follow up with you and say, so have you been doing the painting that you've been wanting to do? And, just that little element can help you be a little bit more motivated to do it. Okay, I think I'm going to end it here so we have enough time for questions if anyone would like. I could keep talking forever, but I won't do that. So just a little reminder that next time we'll be covering the other letters of the acronym, but it'll be a lot more interactive. So I hope to see you all there. We'll be doing creative, active, relaxed, engaged, and stimulated. So I'm going to stop sharing, and hopefully some people have some questions.
So Barbara asked a question in the chat. She wanted to know, what if you're trying to engage a person as a support group leader and the person refuses to do anything, but they don't want to just sit there either?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a big question. Thanks for asking that, Barbara. I'm just going to see if for clarification, let me see if I can read it. So if I understand, it's someone during a support group who is not engaging, not speaking, and you would like them to?
It's more like on a one-to-one basis,
Okay.
and you say, well, oh, how about if we color? And no. I said, well, I'll color. Well, go ahead, But at the same time, they want something to do, and you go, okay, how about if we do, X, Y, Z? And I don't know, I guess I don't know how to, I can't make them do something. They want to do something, and maybe I haven't hit on what they want to do, but they don't tell me what they want to do.
Okay, I follow now. That is a really that is a really good example, and you've already hit on a good few points on that. You can't force them, right? You can do what you're able to, but I think an important element is they're coming back, so they're still coming to you, so they're getting something out of this, right? So kudos to you because you're doing something right here. But it can be really hard for some people to engage, and they may not even know what's blocking them. So I think the best thing you can do is keep trying, keep offering things, and know that the most they may need is somebody to talk to, and that's what you're doing. That may be their primary need that needs to be filled. And the more you try little things, you'll start figuring out what works and what doesn't. Franny, yeah, go ahead.
I think Laura just hit on it. I think people who keep coming back to a support group meeting just want to be there. They want to listen. They want to talk. And it's not your problem, Barbara, if she doesn't want to participate. Just let her be. Eventually she'll jump in or she won't come back. But that's not your problem, and she's got to figure it out for herself.
Okay, thank you.
And what you're doing with, do you want to color? Well, I'm going to color. That is a really good strategy too, because you're showing them the engagement and you're showing them what you can get out of it. And maybe, one day you're just going to hit the hammer on the head, and it's going to be something and it may be small steps. They may just all of a sudden, without making a big deal about it, just pick up a pencil and start coloring too. And then you did it.
Or maybe
so I could just be I'm sorry.
Or maybe just call her one day
Yeah.
and say, how are things going? Don't even mention that and
Mhm.
see what she has to say,
Sure.
outside of the group or
Yeah,
text.
yes.
I text my people all the time, just how are things going? It's amazing what comes out of those texts.
Yes. Yeah. I do that. Yes. Okay. So I'm doing what I can.
You are.
Patient.
Um,
I'll
I'm sure
just
you
be
did a
patient.
great job.
yep.
Patient and be there.
Exactly. And you'll learn a lot through conversation too. What came to mind right away when you mentioned this is I also work privately with clients with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I'm doing virtual sessions right now. And a lot of the time, you really you don't get too much. There's not much that you can get, but sometimes you'll hit that one thing, and then you let it explore from there. For example, I discovered that one client really loves dogs, and there's not too much you can do with dogs through a computer, but from that one little interest thing, I often will bring my dogs now and they'll just sit on my bed and he'll talk to the dogs, and he has a little toy dog that will talk back at them, and he just loves it. And so you sometimes have to try odd, silly things, and you'd be surprised what you could get out of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate the question. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Well, I appreciate you all being here, and I hope that I will see you again at our next session.
Thank you all for joining us and for your amazing engagement.
Laura.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much, Laura. It was an amazing presentation, and thank you so much for reminding us the importance of having fun. It's so important. And thank you all again for your enriching discussion in today's meeting. It was amazing. Please join us next week, and feel free to invite your friends and family and network to our Spin Chat webinars. I'll let Laura just show us our last two slides, just in case you want to have the information for our upcoming sessions. And yeah, again, feel free to invite as many people as you want, friends, family, whoever, invite them. Here's the last two slides. I'll let you talk, Laura.
Yes, so the next presentation will be next Wednesday on the 10th at 7 p.m. and we'll be going over worry management, presented by Ghassan. Ghassan? I can't do the
I
last
think
name
it
either.
said Ghassan with an R. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Ghassan. And then the next time I will be here will be March 31st for the Home Activity Engagement Part 2. So I hope to see you then. À la prochaine. Merci beaucoup.
Laura, can we get copies of the slides?
Yeah,
Yes,
of
of
course.
course. So, Franny, all the resources are always posted on our social media, and it's also on the website. So if you just go to the Spin Chat Webinars tab, the resources are there. I also put it in the chat, so you'll see the link is right there in the chat. Yeah, all resources will always be the same link, or you'll have individual links for each webinar that'll be sent just before the webinar.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thanks, you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye, Laura. Thank you.
Bye. It's good to see you again.
Bye. Good to see you, Angelica.
Oh, good. Bye, Franny.